What is up, guys? Welcome to episode number 172 of Beef's Beef. Got a great show for you guys today. Got a lot to talk about. Going to do it solo. I got to lock in the date, but I do have an interview scheduled, or I guess locked in. I just got to schedule the date. I guess you should say. I don't really know how to say what I'm trying to say. I got someone to agree to do an interview. Just have to get the date set in stone. I guess that's the best way to say it. So before I do anything, I want to shout out my sponsors. First sponsor, Crystal Lackey at Stockton Mortgage. I got a lot of great things to say about my friend Crystal this week. Just helping out someone that I know very well with doing something, and she also hooked me up with something which I will get into the story later on. But I mean, I already appreciate Crystal other than outside of this, but I'll get into the real story about what she did for me just a couple of days ago as well. But you can get in touch with her at 502-615-0743. Get in touch with her for any home loan needs, refinancing, anything that has to do with the home buying and mortgage process. Get in touch with her. Again, it's Crystal Lackey at Stockton Mortgage. Stockton Mortgage is an equal housing lender. MLS 8259, Crystal Lackey, MLS number 1735979. My other sponsor, Dellium, Bdellium, pronounced Dellium. Dellium is men's and women's minimalistic brand that focuses on modern aesthetic and quality. Everything comes pre-shrunk and ready to wear. You can find his men's line at Him's Gentleman Boutique in downtown New Albany. You can also check out his work with my newest shirts, which I showed on the last episode and which some of you have already been able to wear. I'm trying to get them to everybody. I got to find time to be able to meet people and et cetera. But you can find his stuff on Facebook, Dellium Clothing on Facebook, BDELLIOM, and at Dellium Clothing on Instagram. Again, Dellium Clothing, you ain't going to find nothing better. And then my last sponsor, Mike and Cheese. It's the best mac and cheese in town. You can find him set up in places like Charlestown. I believe today he's set up at Borden High School. He's setting up everywhere around the Southern Indiana area. But not only that, he does free delivery to Louisville and Southern Indiana, $15 minimum. All trays start at $10. You can get in touch with him at 502-548-6845. Again, it's Mike and Cheese, 502-548-6845. Try the Pizza Mac and tell them Beef sent you, because it's the best that there is, baby. So we got a lot to talk about today. You guys remember we did the Facebook Live, myself and Mr. Grant, about the Wilder and Fury number 3 fight. So, of course, I'm going to talk about that. The NBA is starting up. I went to the red-white scrimmage. Also want to talk about the football game because there was a bye week last week. So I took, Beef took a bye week as well. And I'm also going to go do a little insight on the game coming up this week against Boston College and, what that kind of holds for the future of Louisville football. So we'll start with the Fury and Wilder fight. This fight started out exactly like the last fight started and pretty much ended. Fury knocked down Wilder in the third round. And to be 100% honest, I thought it was going to go exactly the same way. But then, surprisingly, Wilder gets up, or not surprisingly that he gets up, but he gets up, and not only gets up, but he knocks down Fury twice in the fourth round, which is something that has never happened in Fury's career, to be knocked down twice in one round. So at that point, you're like, this is weird. Is this really happening? Is he going to do this? Is he going to come back? Is he going to, is all the stuff that he was saying true and everything? It was a great fight. But from then on, Fury controlled the fight. And he ended up knocking out Wilder in the 11th round, which for those of you that listen to watch the live, my brother Ryan called it almost exactly. He called the the Wilder or the Fury knockout of Wilder in the 10th round. But hey, he still got the knockout. I picked Wilder to win. I was wrong, but I want to go to something at the end of that fight that I was not real happy with. You just got beat for the second time. Some people could argue for the third time by the same guy. You came out with a lot of outlandish things that you said. And I mean, who knows? Maybe some of those things were true. Maybe they weren't. But either way, you lost. You lost fair and square. He knocked you out. You put up a great fight for, the first few rounds, but he knocks you out. And I was not happy with how Wilder acted. Now I'm not going to sit here and say that, just being a loser. I'm not saying that, but like you can show a little bit of sportsmanship when this dude just handled you after all the things that you just said about him for the last couple months, actually for the last year or so, and claimed has been cheating, and actually a year and a half. You just kind of drug his name through the mud, and then not only does the guy knock you out, but he fights through you, knocking him down twice to fight back and then eventually knock you out completely. I didn't really respect how Deontay Wilder handled that. I mean, who cares? At the end of the day, the guy's got his money and he doesn't care about me or my opinion. I didn't really like that. I like Wilder as a fighter and I like him as a person, but I don't like how he handled that. And I don't really know why he handled it that way. I don't know. I guess that's something that me as a person that's not a professional at the top of the game can really understand, like what the pride, I guess. I don't know, man. They say that a lot of those guys, they just have a different thing in their brain. You always hear about how big of a jerk Jordan was to his teammates. You hear stories like that. Same thing with Kobe. A lot of these guys have been known to be, not the nicest guys to their teammates. So I don't know, maybe that, but this is the thing. This is an individual sport. So it's not like he's being rude to a teammate or anything. This is himself. So if anything, he should have been a little more gracious in his loss. For those of you that follow the Facebook page, if you don't, hop on there. If you follow the Twitter page, great. If you follow the Instagram page, even better. That'd be 3 for 3. I wonder how many of you guys actually do that, follow all 3 of them. But regardless, if you follow those pages, you saw that we released a NBA preview. Every year I like to get the opinions of some close friends of mine that talk basketball with me a lot, and kind of put it up there so that at the end of the year, it's kind of like it's something for you guys to read. I don't know how many of you guys actually read it, but it's also something for us to kind of have bragging rights at the end of the year. So I wanted to, if you haven't done that, I'll check the link out on all 3 of my social media pages. But I'll show you my finals picks here. So this is me right here. I picked the Lakers versus the Nuggets in the Western Conference, the Bucks versus the Nets in the Eastern Conference, and then the Nets over the Lakers in the finals. Now, you want me to give a little overreaction, I guess you could say, after game 1? The Lakers did not look like the favorite to get to where they're going. Neither did Brooklyn. Milwaukee looked absolutely fantastic. Again, Brooklyn is without Kyrie Irving. There's no telling on how long he will be out. I don't see him getting the vaccine, so I don't see him. I don't see him joining the Nets anytime soon. But I do have the Nets winning the championship. Obviously, that could be definitely wrong, because if Kyrie doesn't play, then it's definitely not a good thing for them. You're going to be missing one of the best point guards in the league, whether you like the guy or not. The guy's skills are undeniable. I mean, you can't really say that he's not skilled or anything. But not only that, the Grizzlies did beat the Cavaliers to start the season 1-0. John Morant had a fantastic game. I looked at the score. I was keeping up with it for most of the night. I turned it on right before, and of course, I missed when it started. But John Morant had let's see, 37 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists on 17 of 29 shooting. Only had 2 turnovers, so that's a 3-to-1 uh, assist to turnover ratio. Jaren Jackson, 13 and 6 on 3 of 12. Desmond Bain, 22 points, 8 of 16 shooting. DeAnthony Melton, 8 of 14 for 20 points. Dylan Brooks is out, so obviously he did not play. So it's great to see those guys step up. Granted, it was against. Sorry, I just saw something ridiculous. He has a broken hand. I was just trying to see exactly what Dylan Brooks' injury was. But granted, it was against the Cavaliers. But hey, you got to take the wins where you can get them, and especially in the NBA, you just got to do it. So this just a couple days ago, the ACC Media Days happened, and I believe it was yesterday or the day before. The ACC media released their projected order of finish for the basketball season coming up. So let's go ahead and pull that up for you. So looking at the standings here, they have Louisville finishing 6th, which I think is pretty low. But just some teams that just kind of looking at it, I think maybe a little underrated. I think Notre Dame's maybe a little underrated. Maybe NC State's a little underrated. Georgia Tech lost their best player, but I mean they could still move up. I think Virginia Tech is a little overrated with the things that they lost, as well as Virginia. But against Duke, Florida State, North Carolina, and Virginia. So I'm just going to go into just a little bit of a preview of them. I'm going to do a bigger preview when the season gets closer, and I'm going to have some people on. But just to go over, the teams that are ranked ahead of Louisville, you have Duke. Last season was 13-11, 9-9 in the ACC. They do return 4 guys who played 23 plus games last season. They bring in one of the nation's top classes, including Paolo Banchero, who is everywhere I've seen is one of the favorites to win the ACC Player of the Year. But you lose Matt Hurt, who went undrafted and then was also cut before the season. DJ Stewart, who also was undrafted and was cut. Jalen Johnson, who left early in the season and then was drafted by the Hawks in the NBA draft. And then Jordan Goldwire made an interesting decision and transferred to play for Porter Moser at Oklahoma. Now, my thoughts on Duke. I'm not going to go into too much in depth because, like I said, I'm going to do a preseason preview before the season starts. But I think Duke is getting a lot of praise because of this being the last season and Mike Krzyzewski being the head coach there. I'm not saying that they're going to be terrible, but I mean, I've seen them in the top 10. Every place has them projected as the number 1 team in the ACC. And when you lose somebody like Matthew Hurt, I'm not a big fan of that kid, but the guy balled out a lot last season. Second place projected was FSU, who went 18-7 and 11-4 in the ACC. They returned 6 guys who played in 18 plus games last season, including Raquan Gray and Anthony Polite. I think I'm saying that correctly. They did lose MJ Walker, who was undrafted and then cut in NBA. Raquan Gray, who was a second-round pick by Brooklyn, who felt like he was there for like 40 years. Balsa Koprivica, who some of you may know is the name that was mentioned in the Adidas stuff with Louisville and Brian Bowen. His name was also kind of thrown in there. He was drafted by Charlotte, then traded to Detroit, but then he signed with his hometown team in Partizan Belgrade. So I thought that was kind of weird when I was reading up on this, that he was drafted by Charlotte and then traded, but then he ended up signing overseas. Now, this is a team, if you asked me my pick, that's who I would pick. FSU is a team for the last 5 or 6 years that has proven year in, year out that as long as they keep 1 or 2 guys, they can pretty much reload with some of the younger guys that they have. And I'm going to believe that until I don't see it anymore. So if you want my pick right now, before I do that show, I'm going to pick FSU to win the ACC. It's because they've been kind of, I guess you would say, dominant over the last few years um, of the conference. Third, third place projected finish was North Carolina, which this is one that kind of surprised me. Um, you lose your coach and a Hall of Famer, Roy Williams. Granted, they did hire Hubert Davis, who's a guy that's been on staff for a while and is a UNC guy, so he knows what it kind of takes to do it. You do return 5 guys who played in 29 games, including Armand Baycott and Leaky Black, as well as Caleb Love. You did lose Garrison Brooks, who transferred weirdly to Mississippi State. Dayron Sharp, who got drafted by the Suns and then traded to Brooklyn. Uh, but it's just weird. You have a guy that's never been a head coach. I'm not saying that he's not going to do well, but you have a guy that's never been a head coach and Hubert Davis leading a giant of a program in North Carolina. I'm just a little worried, if you ask me. It's a little weird to have them so highly touted. Again, this may be a team that kind of starts out slow and then ends the season on a nice little run because they do have some decent pieces. Caleb Love never really lived up to his hype last year. I'm not saying that. I think the jury's still out on him. I don't think he's bad because he did show flashes, but as far as being one of the top players in the nation last season, I don't think he lived up to that. And then you got fourth Virginia, which was 18-7 last year, 13-4 in the ACC. They returned 2 guys who played 25 plus games, including Kihei Clark. But they also picked up Armand Franklin from IU, which is one of the best transfers this offseason. But then again, you look at the people they lost. You lose Sam Hauser, who signed a 2-way deal with Boston. You lose Trey Murphy, who was drafted by Memphis and traded to New Orleans. And you lose Jay Huff, who just signed a 2-way deal with the Lakers. They lost a lot. Guys that had Hauser transferred in from I believe, I can't remember first where they were at. His brother went to Michigan State and he came here. I think it was Marquette is where they transferred from. Huff felt like he played here for 15 years. And Murphy transferred in from like Rice or something, I believe, because he just came really out of nowhere to get drafted so high. And like when my cousin was talking to me about him before the draft, it was somebody that I hadn't really paid attention to. Yeah, he transferred from Rice. Excuse me. He played there from 2018 to 2020, and then played for Virginia 2020, 2021. So, excuse me. Sorry, my throat's getting a little dry. But then after that, you have a team that is a really big head scratcher for me in Virginia Tech. I spoke on them a little bit. They do return 5 guys who played 18 plus games, including Kive Aluma and Naheem Aline. But you lose Tyrese Radford, who transferred to Texas A&M, Jalen Cone, who transferred to Northern Arizona. So then you step back and you wonder. Also, Virginia Tech went 15-7 last year, 9-4 in the conference. But you take a step back there and you wonder, okay, you lose 2 of your best guys, and you don't lose them to the draft. You lose them to transfers, which is, a weird situation. You think guys like that are not going to be transferring because they're happy. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. So let's see here. Let's get this over here. So Saturday, I know I keep saying so. Sorry about that. Saturday, I did get to go and watch the red-white scrimmage. And while I was there, I took some pictures, and as well as I took some video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the red-white scrimmage. Let's show you a few pictures from the game. Let's go to the first one. Myself, Mr. Denny Crum. He was sitting here, obviously, and I was sitting, if you can see the mouse, just a little bit over this way, kind of close to where this gentleman's standing, just a little bit over to his left. And had to go say something to him before or after the game ended to, go talk to him. And then Whoops, closed it out. My bad, guys. And then here is picture from my seat. There's Coach McMains and Coach McGeese, Gabe Wisnitzer, Noah Locke there, and Roosevelt Wheeler. And then here's just a kind of a zoomed out picture of my seats. So I was pretty much like right behind the bench. Shout out to Eric Deacon for that one. I was pretty pumped whenever I saw where those seats were. But let's get into it. So overall, I love the pace that the team plays with. There was a lot of instances where everything that the coaching staff has gone into as far as pace of play lived up to the hype in this. One guy that I was more impressed with than I thought I would be was Matt Cross. A lot more athletic than I thought he would be. He's big too. Like he's a legit 6'7", 6'8", and he's not a skinny guy. There was a few times where he drove to the rim and finished with like reverse layups, and his shot looked very, very good from the outside. Jared West is very, very, very vocal, and in a good way. It's not like he's talking crap or anything. He's just very vocal about what he wants his team to do and everything like that. So I thought that was great. Sidney Curry is absolutely humongous. Hopefully you can kind of see it in some of his videos. I'm going to show some videos here in a minute. One thing I was happy about was how much movement and how many screens and everything like that there were with the offense. The offense was very, very fun to watch. So let's take a look here at one of the videos that I took. So this is an out of bounds play. Obviously, Williamson going to throw it in for the white team, and just kind of watch how many screens you see set. There's Curry there. I don't even know if I can zoom in at all. I don't think I can, but there's Curry here with, if you can see the mouse, Cross, Noah Locke, Jared West with LL is guarding him. Drake Davis, Malik Williams, and JJ Trainer. And I can't see who that is behind him. But here we go. Let's roll the beautiful beef footage. So you see here, West dribbling it out. There's a cross screen by Curry, who takes the handoff from Cross. A double screen there by Curry, who sets up the three here. Now it's not really that much, but that was just one example of the offensive movement that they did just off an out of bounds play. There was a lot of things that they did in this that I really liked. Curry at one point, I remember grabbing a rebound over Roosevelt Wheeler, who ended up getting his tail ripped. Got an offensive rebound and went straight back up. It was so Montrez-like. I know you hear the comparison a lot, but it was so Montrez-like. It was ridiculous. And another play I remember that really stuck out in my mind, that I was like, okay, yeah, these guys weren't kidding whenever they were saying that we were going to do a lot in transition. Williamson got the rebound and immediately looked for the outlet pass, and just they were gone. And Jared West just literally pulled up for a three, and like he didn't even hesitate on the shot at all. That's what was crazy is like he shot the three like immediately as soon as he got across half court. So I got a couple other videos here for you guys. I don't know if you guys can hear the sound. Hopefully you can, because I'm talking during some of them. But let's see here. This one is just a watch all the movement here. I'm not going to talk during this one like I did the last one because I kind of sounded like a nerd. But just watch all the screens and the guys filling in spots whenever guys leave that area and everything. And also, let me know if you guys like this. I may start recording stuff off of like the TV and everything if this is something that you guys end up liking, to kind of break down some plays and stuff. But we have LLs with the ball, about to take a screen from Malik Williams. So here you go. Constant movement, screens, rolls. It's a very pro-like offense. I know I said I wasn't going to talk, but and then it breaks down here is a low end of the shot clock. You get a screen and pick and pop and a good shot, which doesn't end up going in, but you get a good shot with Malik Williams, which is a shot that you would take a lot of times in your offense. It's not something that's, you just want to pull up like I said West did, but you get movement like that with your offense and sets up and gets guys moving on the defensive side. You're going to be happy with that 10 times out of 10. Now, this next one, well, I thought I had it pulled up. Let me get it. Let me get the screen share again. Now, this next one shows a lot of movement as well. This is the white team, but it does end in a turnover, so that kind of stinks. But I'll let you guys just kind of watch this one. So if you go back here and you watch, Sam is one that gets the ball, sets a screen, rolls down, and see, that's just a great defensive play there by Withers. Now, I don't know how many of you guys that listen to my podcast listen to Marcus Maben's show, but Marcus Maben did have Jalen Withers on his podcast or on his show today, and it's a very interesting thing that he said on that interview today when asked about comparing this to like different teams and stuff like that. And he said that he thinks that he thinks that this team has more depth and maybe more talent than the team that was here his freshman year, which is Wara, Perry, Fresh Kimball, Dwayne Sutton, and all them. Which the depth thing, I mean, I definitely could see. There's not a Jordan Wara on this team that we know of. I think we definitely have some capable scorers. When you look at guys that didn't even play in this game, like a Mason Faulkner or L. Ellis, Jalen Withers can fill it up. I mean, you have preseason All-ACC player, second team, Malik Williams. So, I mean, you have players all over this, but you don't have that guy like Jordan Wara. One thing that I was very impressed with, that I think a guy that lived up to the hype for me, was L. Ellis. L. Ellis got to the lane whenever he wanted to. When he got into the lane, he made crisp and the correct decisions. There was one where he kind of threw a wraparound pass and fed it to, I believe it was JJ Traynor for a dunk. I feel like he's going to be a great addition in this offense, especially with the up and down tempo of that's supposed to happen. And from the looks of it, it looks like it did. So I don't know. From what I saw, I'm a believer in what Mac has said, as far as the offense changing and looking to be more up pace or up tempo. I'm saying the wrong things today. Playing a more upbeat and up tempo offense, like he has said in the past. So I'm excited about this basketball season. It does start in a couple of weeks. I'm going to try to get somebody on that can help me do a preview with that. Maybe a returning guest or something that can do something like that with me, and we'll really get kind of in depth about Louisville season and all that stuff. So before the bye week, Louisville did play Virginia, and I don't really know what to say. I wrote some stuff down, but that game frustrates me. Louisville's offense again looked great for the most part, scoring 33 points. They did rack up over 500 yards of total offense again. Scored 20 points in the third quarter and went into the fourth quarter with a 30-13 lead. Now, those of you that go to games know that the start of the fourth quarter, Joker and the Thief is played. The whole place goes nuts. You're now up 30-13. The place is going nuts. The whole crowd's behind it, and the defense falls apart. Now, I'm not going to put the game solely on the defense, because I feel like there was also some offensive things where they let off the gas and things of that nature, which was pretty frustrating. But this mostly goes on the defense. It has a lot to do with just, three defensive line, them rushing only three defensive linemen and letting a guy that is one of the best passing quarterbacks in the ACC pretty much do what he wanted to do. Brian Brown did have a press conference today, and he did acknowledge that he should have rushed more guys on uh, in the fourth quarter, and especially down the stretch in the fourth quarter. Um, some good things to take away before I go into it, because I did have someone asked me a question. Uh, One good takeaway from this is this the resurgence of Hassan Hall? Hassan Hall busted off over 140 yards in the second half, and most of it was in the third quarter. Um, I hope so for him and for the offense. It's going to take a lot of the rushing off of the back of Malik, to where we can maybe get a back that starts hitting holes and you know getting more than 2-3 yards a carry, and we don't have to do some of these gimmick things with the rushing game, and we can still sneak in some of those Malik things. But I ask you guys all the time if you all have questions. Someone did ask me a question today, so here's the question. Kyle says, uh, the UofL football offense is fine. The defense seems to have taken a step back. What changes, in your opinion, do you think need to be made to fix it? All right. So for those of you that are watching, you probably saw what I said there, because I didn't minimize my notes. I'm hoping, for one, I'm going to say I'm hoping in this bye week that this team made a lot of adjustments as far as how they're going to attack. The second half of the season, you look at the teams that you play. You have Boston College this week. Then you go to NC State, back home for Clemson, and Syracuse. Then you go on the road to Duke, and then at home for Kentucky. I'm not 100% positive. That might be at Syracuse. I feel like it's at home. But either way, you have got to win this game. Yeah, Louisville has got to win this game against a team that they're favored by 6 points in. But I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead. I'm trying to. So in this game, I want to answer this question as best as I can. One, I feel like rushing at least one more defensive lineman is going to help, or maybe bringing pressure from the linebacker position, or even sneak in a safety blitz, or random DB blitzes, because it seems like every time we do that, we catch these teams off guard because they're expecting us to rush 3. When you're rushing 3 and dropping 8, you're giving this quarterback 1,000 years to look over the field, and DBs can only guard for so long. Like even the best DBs get beat sometimes, and when you do this to your DBs, you're constantly making them look bad. So my opinion, what changes need to happen? One, we need to start recruiting these guys better, recruiting better guys. Starts locally, which we did make the final 3 for Sealer Brown from Mayo. All indications point towards him committing to Louisville soon. So that's a good sign. I think he would be a big help on the defensive line. But rushing more than 3 people, and I'm not saying like you can do this sometimes. Like there's certain points where you need to just rush 3 and drop 8. You got like a 3rd and 25 or something. Then you do like you did against UCF. There was 2 times against UCF where we rushed 3 and dropped 8, and it was like 3rd and 22 and like 3rd and 20. You play like that kind of prevent where you don't let anything get past you. Keep everything within the first like 10, 15 yards, and then just gang tackle that guy and make sure he doesn't get the first down. Something like that, I'm fine with, rushing 3 and dropping 8. But when you're rushing 3 and dropping 8 for the entire quarter, a team's just going to pick you apart and drive down the field, and that's exactly what happened. Louisville ends up losing the game 34-33. James Turner did miss 2 field goals, which also didn't help. But he should have never been in that position in the first place. Losing Monty Montgomery has been a big loss, but you could bring pressure from different parts to help out the struggling defensive line, in my opinion. Like I said, like I mentioned, you could bring safeties, you could bring DBs, everything like that. But the last part here, Louisville does play Boston College at home this weekend. They are favored by 6. Boston College comes in with a record of 4-2 with losses to Clemson and a blowout loss to NC State last week. I think Louisville will have a tougher time scoring. This is a team that likes to run the ball as well, but their defense is kind of stingy when it comes to giving up points at 19.5. as well as passing yards. Um, I think we're gonna. I think Louisville's offense is better than Boston College defense, but at the end of the day, Louisville's defense has got to step up. Um, this Boston College team is kind of hard to read. You go into last week. I'm not saying NC State's bad. They obviously beat Clemson in their second place overall in the ACC. Um, but they absolutely obliterate Boston College. I think it was like 31-7 or something, or 33-7, 33-7. So um, Malik has got to get it going early. I think that's something that we've started to do here recently. And my biggest changes, I guess I would make, if you ask me, coming out of a bye, thinking of your last few games, you have Florida State, who you almost blew a big lead and lost against. You have Wake Forest, when you had your chances and you didn't finish the game, and your defense kind of let you down. And then you have Virginia, when you had a 30-13 lead going into the fourth quarter. My biggest thing on what needs to happen is just finish the game. Stop taking your foot off the gas. Stop running these gimmicky play calls when it gets to certain points in the game, and just finish the game. I don't know. Like, if Louisville loses this game, which I'm predicting it's not going to be a loss, but if Louisville loses this game, you could very well see this season not turning out, going 5-7. But yeah, I don't see Louisville losing this game, and I'm going to project them still to go out and be 7-5. I know I said 9-3. That would mean Louisville has to win out. But I guess we'll see. It's something I'm gonna bring back this week. I'm gonna do my own lock of the week. So scrolling through here. All right. So my lock of the week this week is I'm gonna go to Los Angeles in the Pac-12. And I'm gonna take Oregon to cover the spread of -1. So they're getting 1 point. I think Oregon wins this game by 7 to 10 points, maybe. I like Oregon as a team. I know they did lose a couple weeks ago, but their defense is pretty solid. So, yeah, I'm going to try to bring back some of the things that, I sprinkled in the past. And hopefully you guys liked what I did with some of the videos today. If you guys want, I can, maybe post some of them if some of you guys want to see them, or maybe send them to you in Messenger or any way that I can. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think is going to happen in the game this weekend with the Louisville Boston College game. Let me know what your guys' expectations are as far as the basketball season. And without further ado, beef out.